The life you feel stuck right now in, you built it, every part of it. The money, the relationships, your health, the body you live in, your career, and every other part of your life is something that you have built for yourself. I know how that sounds. You are struggling right now, maybe with money, maybe with your health, with someone you love, and the last thing you want to hear is that you chose this. And you would be right to push back. Why would anyone choose to suffer? But that question has an answer, and that answer was given a few thousand years ago in an ancient text called Kathopanishad. And there are two simple concepts which this Upanishad gives us, and if we understand that, we understand everything about why we create these obstacles for ourselves, suffering for ourselves, and why we self-sabotage. This is not about attracting things with your thoughts, but this is cause and effect, and far more within your control than you think. And by the end of this video, you will see the single choice that is running underneath every outcome of your life. The choice you make dozens of times a day without knowing it. And the one shift the ancient rishis said that changes everything. So the real question is, why do we keep building the life that we do not want to live, and how can we stop this? The truth is, you didn't choose the outcomes. You choose the actions, and outcomes were the consequences. This is what the ancient Vedanta calls as karma. Now today the topic is something much deeper than karma, because karma we have discussed it multiple times through our channel. But before we go there, you need to understand something. Nothing in your life arrived by accident. It arrived by cause. The day you stop blaming the world is the day you get your power back. Now you may resist this because it sounds like blame, but it is not blame. It is true responsibility. We are responsible for our life and our reality. You didn't pick suffering, but you picked actions, and the full consequence was hidden inside the choices that you made. And I want you to understand today that responsibility is not guilt. Responsibility is not blaming. Responsibility is true power. It is true leverage, because if you truly understand that your past has created your present, you can take steps to create your future. Because just like your present was determined by your past actions, your current actions will determine your future. Now the question still might be, why will anyone cause suffering for themselves? Right? And briefly, let's understand karma before we move ahead. Karma is cause and effect. You take an action, it has its consequences. It has a reaction. Whatever you send out, it comes back in some way. Right? But the deeper truth here is that each action may have multiple consequences. And once you understand this concept, then everything will begin to fall into place. And now we will look at the mechanism behind every result in your life, every outcome in your life. And once you clearly see this, then everything will click. One action may not have a single consequence, but it may have multiple consequences. This is what we understood. But let's go deeper into this. Whenever we perform action, some of its consequences may arrive immediately, but most arrive later. How farther that later is, nobody can tell. Even Krishna tells in Gita, nobody can uncover the hidden mechanics of karma and when something yields results, but it will. This mechanism comes from the Kathopanishad, and it is about the two paths. Path 1 is prayas, path 2 is shreyas. And let's understand this with a simple example. Now let's say there is an alcoholic who is addicted to alcohol. Whenever he takes a sip of a drink and he begins to consume alcohol, he focuses on the short-term benefits of it. His attention is on the instant gratification. If he is suffering, if he is mentally ill, if he is going through a lot of stress, a lot of pain in his mind, alcohol has a tendency to numb the mind and make a person unconscious, and it has a tendency to give a temporary sense of relief and inner peace. Now the person is just focusing on the one consequence of his actions, that is drinking alcohol. This short-term consequence is called as preyas in the Kathopanishad. But yet, this is not where the story ends. Tomorrow morning, he wakes up with a headache, with hangover, right? His entire body is punishing him for making a false choice the previous day. That is another consequence of the same action that happened. The story doesn't end here as well. As the weeks and months and years go by, the alcohol that he had consumed has a compounding effect on his body, on his liver. Maybe after a few decades, his liver fails and his entire body fails and he suffers immensely. Now, this is also a consequence of the same action. The difference between the path of preyas, that is path 1, and the path of shreyas, which is path 2, is this. Path 1 optimizes for short-term well-being and instant gratification. That's consuming alcohol, that is these relationships that are built on superficial things, that is consuming all sorts of junk food just because they taste good for the tongue. But when we begin to optimize for long term, that is the second path, the path of shreyas, where we are optimizing for our holistic well-being, where we are consuming the right kinds of food, where we are working on ourselves, where we are evolving spiritually, and ultimately we are optimizing for liberation, that is ultimate happiness and freedom before anything else. Each and every one of us are walking in between these two paths, and most of society, almost all of society, is choosing the first path. This is why the entire of the world is suffering today. Mental health issues are rising day by day. WHO and Harvard Medical School have said 1 in 2 people are going through mental health disorders. That's 50% of the population. Any form of depression, alcohol abuse, and any form of mental sickness can be considered as a mental health issue, and people are suffering today. This is because of this mindset of optimizing for short-term benefit, for instant gratification. It is about the world is optimizing for what they think they want in the short term versus what they actually want in the long term. In the long term, what each and every one of us actually want is happiness, is freedom, it's success and wealth and well-being and ultimately liberation, that is absolute bliss. That should be our focus. But look at the society today. For immediate food, we have Uber Eats and Zomato. For immediate travel, we have Uber. If we want something, we order it immediately, and there is Amazon which gives 1-day delivery. All this is still fine, but even for relationships, there is Tinder. Again, an instant gratification which is breaking the very fabric of society. Divorce cases are higher than ever. The global happiness index is at an all-time low, all because humanity is choosing preyas over shreyas. The rishis were very clear. You get what you want and what you put your attention and your efforts and your awareness towards. If you want instant gratification, if you want short-term gains, you will get it, but at the cost of long-term well-being. So this is an important wake-up call for us to understand how one should take actions in their life and make decisions in their life, optimizing for shreyas, that is holistic well-being and long-term well-being. And always make this decision if you are choosing between careers, if you are choosing your life partner, if you are choosing which business to start. Stop focusing on the immediate gain out of it. Stop worrying about immediate competition or immediate obstacles. Think about how your life would look like, or how your life should look like in the long term. How should your wealth be? How should your relationships be? How should your entire life look like?